Hello, everyone. Welcome to Loud and Proud Orlando. It's Sunday, June the 23rd, 5 p.m. I know it's a little weird time for us to be live right now, but Copa America and other commitments force us not to be live on Monday. So we're going to be live tonight, and then we'll come back on Tuesday for the Pride Pod, and then, possibly another episode coming up during this week. Today, the USA national team, U.S. men's national team, plays against Bolivia, and definitely we'll be talking a little bit about it. But what brought us today, guys, is that we won, guys. We won! Yay! Yeah, everything in the attacking third just clicked, man. It's like putting peanut butter on a sandwich. It's like this. Put in some jelly. It was great to see a win, especially in front of I think it was over 22,000 fans in attendance. It was just like hopefully a turnaround. Now, do we get excited? Of course, we gotta get excited. I say, if you're an Orlando City supporter, don't let anyone stop you from being excited. Be excited, but also be level headed, right? Because we have a tough road ahead on what's coming. NYCFC in a weird pitch, that's always been troublesome for the Lions. One of the best top 5 team in the MLS right now, whether we like it or not. And these Lions demonstrating, that in this game particularly, everything clicked. We got 2 goals. It wasn't a clean sheet. Unfortunately, that could have been the cherry on the cake, but we'll discuss all of that and more. John, how are you, my friend? How you feel about that win? I know that we saw 10 goals in 2 games, dude.
I know, man. It was a good weekend here for Orlando sports teams like soccer. I mean, come on. The Pride, we'll talk about that on the Pride pod, but I saw you, Luis, at the Pride game.
Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah.
like surprised people don't see it. We don't actually get to see each other
We embrace.
IRL that often because
You gave me a
Luis
really
lives.
warm hug.
You don't live here, and he's up in the booth, and I'm down in the stands. So it was great to see you. And then, 4-2. We are 3-0 up in the first 30 minutes for Orlando City. I was like, who is this
You
year?
know,
Like, you know
right?
what I mean? I was like, what's happening right now? We actually winning? But we went and we won that game 4-2. So a great weekend, lots of goals, lots of very happy fans, lots of smiling faces. That's what we want to see.
Stream Jesus says, it was nice seeing John at the Pride game. Wanted to say hi, but I'm too shy. But Jesus,
Okay,
you're
you were
everywhere, my
not
friend.
dressed as Jesus because I would have noticed you, and you told us you were going to dress as Jesus. So no wonder I didn't recognize you. You're just a
Wow.
regular fan hiding.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, the atmosphere was electric. It was great. It was great to see all the fans being really happy. It was a great performance by Mason Staduhar. It was a great performance by Nivan Angulo. Great performance by Facu Torres. So let's start there. What were your highs and lows in the game, John, for you?
Sorry, I was taking a drink. Facu's got to be the highest of highs, of course, up there with Mason, and then not to be forgotten, Dagger Down as well. What a game he had! The 3 of them led us to this victory. Facu in the 3rd minute, getting that on his right foot, on the right side of the field, cutting inside on his left foot, doing what he does best with a great shot. Like it almost like curled in the back net of the back of the net there in the back corner. I just think that got us off to a on the right foot. That was like confidence building for this team. There was none of that like opening 20 minutes of like nervousness. It was just straight off the bat, hey, we've scored. Let's go from there. And of course, he carried on throughout the game. Angulo, I think, had a really good game as well in this one. There was definitely some bad parts of our performance. I think there's still some issues in defense. I think Rodri I don't know if he necessarily had a bad game, but he just always seems to be a problem, whether it's his fault or not. So that would probably be a negative that, the defense still is leaky, still having problems. But in terms of being clinical and doing what we needed to do in the box, this game was 100% better. So a big improvement, and we just took our chances, Luis. That's what we need to do right now. We just need to do the simple things right and take our chances.
No, I mean, I wasn't counting for. I mean, I know this is gonna sound terrible what I'm about to say, but I wasn't counting on having Rodri in purple this long since he signed. Now, yes, he's a OCC, legend in the case of what he's, some of the moments that he's had with the club, right? But I feel just like you, John, that there's something not right going on. I heard that I saw on the pitch his communication that usually is very fluid with Robin Jensen. It wasn't really as as it should have been, right? As maybe as last season, right? So that's something that obviously Oscar is going to have to take a look into that for sure. But a sign of improvement overall in attack, yes. And to me, one of the key pieces of why this team performed the way they performed against Chicago Fire last night was because a hot start. You give the team a hot start, and then they carry away the rest of the way. It's different to be one goal down and try to become protagonist of the game than being one goal up, and a quick one too. I think it was in the fourth minute. Was the first goal that was scored. So and that set the tone right there. No, yeah, fourth minute by Facu Torres. Yeah, so it set the tone of what's to come. Another thing was Facundo Torres, right? Like you said, I mean, um, he said that, and the post press conference footage is on our YouTube channel. He said that it affected him tremendously being cut from the Copa America team for Uruguay. But John, he's been having these issues the whole season, so I really don't, something has been going on. But according to Oscar, which you'll see his footage, the footage also on our YouTube channel, um, he's been training one on one, essentially just trying to improve his game. And Oscar said that this is the fruits of what he's been pretty much working on. So honestly, like this is the form that I think everyone was looking for since day one of this year. And so happy to see him score. You want to go start checking out the footage, John, or you want to read some comments?
I just wanted to first
Yeah.
talk about what you said, highs and lows. I mean, I think you can just see it in the ratings. I just put up the FootMob one, and now Sofa score here. Like that, the highs of Facu Torres and Dagger Dan and Muriel, but like Duncan didn't have that great a game here. We talked about Rodri. And Rafa Santos is another one I think really again struggled. He just looks so panicked to me when he's defending. Do you see that? Like the 1v1, the defenders are running at him, and he seems to like you're not quite sure what's going to happen. And then he's pointing a lot at other players, like you need to cover this guy and that guy. I don't feel that much confidence when Rafa Santos is in the back line. Anything else? Oh, also Mason with the 8.9 here on soft score had a great game, 10 saves, big part of this result. Anyone else you want to talk about lineup before we go through the goals?
Yeah, I mean we can look at the goals individually. Let me go
And
ahead and
yes,
look.
comments. Sorry, comments.
Comments. All right. So it says here we need to continue to go up by a few goals and keep playing like that. Let's keep winning. Facker, Dagerdan, and Mason played great. Anthony Solis says Mason had a great game overall, but I think we need to look for a new talent for the center back besides Brecalo. Ideally, a leftist center back. I I wholeheartedly agree with you, and also I would like a center back that's able to play left back and center back, because we have this. I know there's gonna be probably some adjustments to the roster at the end of the season. Um,
Are you
so
talking like now, Anthony? That's my question. Are you talking about end of the season? Because
I think now, man.
okay, now, yeah, I could agree. We definitely well, even like left back
Yeah,
and left-sided center back. We
I
lack
think
left-footed defenders
I think now.
either way. Yeah.
Yeah, Torres, 3 goals in 2 games. That's right. Thank you to Joshua Tall. Thank you to everybody that's watching us in this Express episode. 29 people on X and about 10 people on YouTube. Um, you know, when it comes to this game, you know, and talking about the center back situation, it's crazy and again, it's just my opinion. Like, I'm not trying to knock at anyone. I think when players, 1 minutes, they got to do whatever it takes to get minutes. Abdus Salim was one of those players. He was, what's it called? Sent a loan to Detroit FC from the USL side. Now you probably wonder, well, why was he never announced by the club? So what happened was, so from my understanding is that it was not the club's fault because they were supposed to announce the loan on Monday, but they had a practice game against Pumas in Mexico, and he played a friendly as a starter, and he also scored the winning goal of So I don't know if you want to put the video there, John, of his goal. You know, I personally, just because he's a player that plays for his national team, and I know it's Somalia, he would have been a great value added to our back line, no matter what. Because just playing for your national team gives you that extra edge because automatically you have to face higher competition. So I kind of feel like we actually took a little L here by letting him go to Detroit. I don't know how you feel about that.
I disagree in some ways. I think I would have liked to see him get a chance in the first team, but I think because they weren't giving that chance, I'm supportive of him.
Yeah, no,
You
no,
know
no.
what I mean? What was gonna change? They weren't suddenly gonna be like, "Okay, now you gotta get it." You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand why we had it in the first place. I would definitely, up to this point, like to see him getting more chance in the first team, but because we haven't, I think that says that they don't feel like he's ready for MLS, and therefore the logical step is what they've done is to send him to a USL team, which we beg them to do with all of these kind of players. Like Jack Lynn, really, in my opinion, should be off the USL team in the summer because as much as we need him here right now, he's not quite MLS minutes. And that's the same with Abdi here. If he's going to become a good enough MLS player, maybe he needs more time at a pro level that's better than MLS next pro. And look, he scores in his debut. So I think it's great. I think give him 6 months there. Maybe come the beginning of 2025, he comes back and we go, okay, now you're really looking like you're ready to be a part of the first team, or another year with another loan. Sometimes you got to be a little bit patient, but I think if it gives him play time and helps him grow and develop, then I'm all for it.
It's just that when you see the reason why I say is because you see in
We have
our
a need. I
right,
agree. We have
right.
a need for a
You
center
see
back.
our bench, right?
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
also think if they're not going to fill it with
I
him,
agree with you
then
there.
loan him out. Yeah. I think we definitely need to go out and find a left-sided center back or any center back
For
because, like
sure.
you said, Schlegel, I don't love him playing. I think when Bracalo is here, it's great, and him and Jensen are a great partnership, but especially if we're playing a four back, just the two of them. But one of them's going to get injured, then you're relying on Schlegel again. We just need a good, solid third rotation center back option.
Now, let's talk about the man of the hour, the man who's been talked about in every single Twitter, I keep calling it Twitter, X post and Facebook post, the reincarnation of Manuel Neuer, Mason Staduhar. 10 saves. Um, it kind of, I kind of feel for him because I think he deserved a clean sheet in this game, you know? It would have been like just a cherry on the cake. But I love the edge of Mason. He just has this edge. It's I don't know if you could tell. Like he's just not a he's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid of passing the ball real quick and start the transition play right away. He's positionally, I think he's improved tremendously. I mean, what a game by Mason Saduhar. The fans started chanting Mason, 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 right? Going like this and all that stuff, the ILF. So I don't know. I mean, I thought it was an amazing performance by an Orlando's own Mason Staduhar, man. It was phenomenal to see that, for him to get that much of a buzz. And he says it. I always train as I'm going to play every freaking game. Well, he didn't miss a beat against Chicago, man.
No, Joshua Tall says, "What a great one-hand palm save, Mason. Mason played really good." Totally agree. I mean, 10 saves. Like I think 5 of those from inside of the box. Like he saved one with his face. Remember
Yeah.
that?
Hmm.
So clearly he had a great game. We've seen, though, I will say, in the game before this, like the LA game, for example, he did not have a great game. So it's up and down, but I think he was proving a point here to say, like, look, I can do it. I can have a really solid time in net. And he could have got another day, Luis. Like, come on, he can't do anything about the penalty. And then the other goal, like,
Yeah.
so he had a great game. Anthony says Mason is a very aggressive keeper mindset, good when fighting for every opportunity.
Now,
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from.
let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
To me, Orlando City has one of the for the past 2 seasons has had one of the stronger goalkeeping corps, I think, in the MLS, because all three keepers on the line are very top level. Like Pedro Galese last season was, Saint Galese, or Saint Galese, right? And then you have Mason Staduhar, never, I think, he had some ups and downs, but there were more ups and downs in his game, usually numbers wise, if you focus on all the numbers and all that stuff. And then Otero, this kid killed it in OCB, and he's been actually called by the Venezuelan national team to be part of their goalkeeping corps by the second half of the CONMEBOL qualifiers. So there's a lot of talent there, right? So do you feel comfortable if, let's say, and sorry to be the, give a little jib jab here to John, if they don't want to pay Galese, or they don't want to, they want to cut his contract down dollar signs wise, and just say, hey, you're gonna, from 1 million, we're gonna 700,000. What do you think about that? And he says, no, I'm taking my talents to the galaxy. Do you feel confident for the front office to give the number one jersey to Mason, and just go Mason, Otero, and then find another one maybe on the draft, maybe off
I would
OCB?
I would do it the other way. I would say, okay, if
No.
Pedro's gonna go, which,
If
right,
let's
like
say
you
that
said, is
happens.
because of a budget issue for us. We want to save money in the position there. I think Mason's deserved a chance at being the number one, but I would probably bring in a veteran MLS goalkeeper to be the, like, competition slash number two goalkeeper in case things
Oh,
don't go so well with Mason. And then you're like, okay, I've got someone I can rely on. I think Otero is a similar situation to what we're talking about with Salim and I don't think MLS Next Pro is enough of a level for him right now. I think he needs, like you talked about, that he's been in the Venezuelan national team and stuff. Like he needs to be playing at a higher level, in my opinion.
Correct.
And if that's not going to be MLS, then he should get a loan out and put someone else in MLS Next Pro. There's always another young goalkeeper to bring up through the academy. So I would do it that way. But if we're gonna roll the dice on Mason next season, I feel confident. I love the fact that he's a homegrown player. Like you posted, he posted that video. Did you see on Luis on the
Mhm.
club's channel where he's like, "This is for the fans. This is for Orlando. You know, we got you the win." I think we don't underestimate that. And also, he's a homegrown player, so we're not paying any. Well, we are paying his contract, obviously, but we're
Right.
not. It doesn't go against our salary cap, so that's a massive advantage. So if you go from paying Pedro, if you can make that next year and you feel comfortable with it, then definitely. But
So you don't
I feel
feel
like you need a backup that is like reliable in case it doesn't work out. Because as
like a
much as we've
Raimondo
seen
before
good
he
games,
retired,
huh?
like a Nick Raimondo before he retired. You know,
Right,
something
yeah,
like
like
that.
we need like a veteran. Sort of you
Yeah.
bring like Sean Johnson to be the other keeper, and then the two of
Right.
them
Oh
battle it
man,
out,
wasn't he
that
UCF?
kind of thing. Huh?
Yeah, he was in UCF. Sean Johnson, right?
Right. So that's what I'm saying is you could go for it and it would be a cheap option. I think Mason, we've never seen him have that long a stretch as the first team goalkeeper. Like the guy needs a whole season under his belt in MLS before we could really say yes or no, he is a great or a good or an okay keeper, right? We don't know. I think what the thing is, we see these games and like we've seen a run here, some were good, like this one, some have been bad. So it's hard to judge. And I think when Pedro comes back, everyone's like, oh, is he, keep Mason in. I understand that viewpoint, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think Pedro is
Yeah,
going
it's
to
not
get
realistic.
back in his position. And then it'll be Pedro's to hold on to. And if Pedro is continued to have bad
To drop the
performances,
ball.
maybe then they'll go, okay, Mason, we liked you better when you were our keeper and you'll get back in. But I don't think they're just gonna
Right.
drop Pedro because he was away with internationals and Mason's had a good game. I don't think that's how it
No,
works
no,
in these
I
scenarios with goalkeepers and the way that Oscar's running the team.
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on there. I think that it will be it would be not realistically speaking to think that the pitch is gonna come back and then he's gonna see his locker room is gonna have another name, right?
I mean, I think
Right?
Pedro also is probably really supportive. And he's
Of
probably
course.
like, oh, it's great that Mason's having a great game. And
Yeah,
goalkeepers, you have to remember, they're very like
yeah.
they're in their own little bubble because yes, there's training and then there's goalkeeper training. So there's like 4 or 5 of them where it's like 3 goalkeepers, 4 or 5
They're like a little
goalkeepers maybe,
family.
and like the goalkeeper coaches, and that's just like their little clique of the training facility.
And
So
plus,
Pedro is Mason's boy, and Mason's Pedro's boy. So whoever gets to play gets to play. It's not so much like,
yeah,
oh, I'm
it's
going
not
to take your
personal or
spot,
nothing like
bro. Like
that.
that's not how they think.
And the cool thing is like, Mason can feed off that Pedro energy too, and Pedro could also, I always, this is just a saying, you always, it doesn't matter your age or what you've been or where you've been or who you've talked to or who you support. Um, you can learn from anybody. Like, I can learn from like a homeless person down the street. I can learn from my daughter that's 6 years old. I can learn from like everyone. So I feel like you could feed like there's a goalkeeping style from Otero that maybe Mason can see. It's like, hey, I really like the way he does this. Hey, let me see if I could apply it like with my play. And same with Pedro with Mason. I mean, hey, I like how he has these like crazy, reflex, happening. Yeah, hey, I'm gonna try to see if I can implement that in my game. So I feel exactly what you say. I think there's really not a competition. I just think Orlando has, I mean, they're blessed to have three solid goalkeepers. Now, obviously, I do agree with you. If Oscar has to make a choice, if the ball's being dropped and it's in the footage, you gotta be quick to make that decision. You can't, especially now that Orlando needs to win majority of the games coming up. right? So
Should we do the goals?
yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and pull that up right now.
Uh, I'll read a few more comments. Anthony Solis says Mason had a great game overall. I think we need to look for a new talent center back. Okay, we said that one. We need to continue. Joshua Tall says we need to continue to go up by a few goals and keep playing like that. Let's keep winning. Faku, Dagger, and Mason played great. I totally agree. What else? Joshua Tall says I think, to be honest, Chicago only should have scored one goal and we could have avoided that second goal. Yeah, there's definitely an argument to that. We'll go through the goals and the highlights right now.
yep. So let's start with the first goal for Orlando City.
3 minutes in.
Practicing a lot with Muriel. Like they're trying to find that connection between them two.
I think it's
So,
interesting here that Muriel took it and not Faku.
yeah, and
Does that say like, hey, I'm just gonna take this pressure off you
yeah,
and do it because I'll don't worry about this, dude. I'll do this bit.
yep. Quality. And then
Also,
he,
good for Muriel to score his. If you hold it a sec. I looked at this a few times. I don't know if you've seen different angles to me, but the one angle they showed, it's not in the highlights here, but it doesn't even look like it hits his hand
yeah,
from one
it
angle.
looks like it passes his it passes the what's it called? Been practicing that. So probably
Yeah,
passes
it
into his,
shows.
yeah, so it shows what he's been practicing. The way Robin looks at Rafa, it's incredible.
Yeah, show that one again. Overall,
Yeah, I think
I'm a little bit questioning on the Schlegel handball in the box. I'd have to see that one from a few other angles to see exactly what happened, but maybe he did intentionally handball it. It felt a little bit harsh for me. But there was also the other thing, Luis, that she didn't call. That was right at the beginning of the game when Faku just got pushed over when he had the ball. Like he went
yeah, yeah,
playing the
yeah. That
ball
should
in
have
the
been a
box and he
foul.
got knocked over.
Yeah,
And they were talking about on the commentary that it was a penalty, and I think it definitely could have been a penalty. And they didn't even review it on VAR. And yes, it's the opening minute of the game, but if you make a foul on a player behind in the box, it's probably a penalty. So that one, but I think overall she had a pretty good game. I want to show you this, the momentum for the team. I feel like at times we started out pretty hot and got our goals, and then really just that end of the game here. I know we were 4-2 up, but I just feel weird. It's dangerous when we try to sit back. I want to just keep attacking. I want to keep on the front foot and not invite too much pressure. And definitely the end of that first half, we were inviting a lot of pressure, and then the end of the second half too. So there's still some issues with this team
yeah,
defensively for sure,
yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
for
So
sure. There's
it's not all fixed because of one game. We're not
correct.
saying that. We're definitely not
Like
saying that. It's going to be up and down.
fans are. I feel like fans, if they're excited, of course you gotta be excited. But we have to take this also that this is just one game, right? Now, we have to see progression, no regression, as well. So, I feel like against NYCFC, you got to go and win that game, whatever it takes, you know. And I think the mentality of whatever it takes, it's already waking up a lot of the players. Like Faco's woken up, and hopefully that continues. Muriel, especially, it's just to me, it's just that pitch, man. That pitch is just not good. It's not it's like the Copa America, when this is the thing,
Yeah, it's
and,
bad
and,
pitches.
and I'm gonna be honest with you. If you have mag a great event like Copa America coming to the United States 2 weeks before Copa America, you're not gonna go have concerts in those stadiums. Like you mess up the turf, you mess up the and just by putting new grass, you gotta let it sit, because then like players they know when it's new grass, and then that could cost a lot of injuries. Weston McKennie said it today, I know yesterday, The Argentinian delegation said it. The Peruvian Federation also said it. One of their right backs is injured now with an Achilles injury because of the pitch conditions, because they changed that turf. And so, guys, that kind of happened in the World Cup. So Kenny Chestnut,
Yeah.
Taylor Piff, they can go and hold it, and they can go play somewhere else, and you hold those scenarios and prepare for the World Cup. You know,
You know what the biggest difference in the Euros and Copa America is?
yeah, yeah,
The pitches.
the pitches,
That
the soccer.
I was watching Venezuela, Ecuador played on horrible looking turf. Like
Yeah,
looked
I mean,
nasty to play on.
I feel the organization should have played in soccer specific stadiums. Like, for example, imagine an Ecuador Venezuela at Interco.
Well,
20,
going on Sunday.
25,000, you right? 25,000, I think
Yeah.
is the capacity.
Hmm.
That will be perfect. Levi Stadium looked empty, dude.
I'm saying Jamaica, Venezuela in Q2 on Sunday. So that makes sense. Like that's two nations that are
Right.
going to bring certain amount of fans. I think the issue is when it's your Brazils, your Argentinas, they want to put them
In the
in
big one.
massive stadiums. And some of those are obviously the football stadiums, and they put it like Atlanta. They've done with that with the Argentina game, Canada. Like that pitch was just horrible. You could see chunks of it. So this is the issue. I think it's you can make temporary pitches, you can use the turf, but at the end of the day, it's not as good as having. And that's why in Europe they have these massive soccer specific stadiums. Here we only have massive American football stadiums.
That's right. That's right. So let's hopefully we're turning things around for the World Cup. You know, Late Taylor and the Swifties. Calm down a little bit. Mark Anthony or whatever, Metallica. Take a chill pill. The World Cup's coming. We need the turf because it's gonna. If Weston McKinney would have, like, it's not just them not wanting to play in those venues. One of the co-captains of your national team is saying that the pitch conditions are horrible. Like, it's gonna, it has to resound in the organization right there. So, all right, let's talk about look, the stats right there. Yeah. So we look at the Eastern Conference. We're 10th right now. We are tied with Atlanta, but obviously they have a higher goal difference than we do. Again, the MLS is like this. We're on playoff contention, in my opinion, right now as we speak. One win will put us right there, eighth. Right? Thoughts of that, John? I think,
Yeah, I mean, we saw us go from what 14th to 10th with
yeah,
one win. Obviously, there's games to be played still. It's certain teams have 17, some teams have a 20 played. But it's still tight. I think we look up above us, right? Like 8 points up is New York City in sixth, and then Chicago Fire in 18th. So it's a lot closer to the bottom than it is further into the playoffs. So we really need to build some wins to try and build some cushion away from the rest of these teams like DC and New England and Montreal. We need to be pushing up into the New York City, the Nashville area, up in the fifth, sixth, seventh, and we can do that by putting a string of wins together. I think for me, Luis, is a lot of the reason that we're like, well, I'm positive and you're still positive and we're still hopeful and from this season is because we look at last season. And obviously, last season, at a certain point, it turned around and we put together an incredible string of wins. Now, that's not guaranteed to happen again this season, of course, but this could be the start of that. That's what we hope. It feels like the win that would kick off a run of wins to me. Obviously New York City, we'll talk about in a bit, is next. So that's a big challenge going away there and getting. But then Toronto is definitely somewhere we could go away and get some points. Other teams have done, we have done, and back home to DC, who are obviously down here. So there's a lot of these 6-pointers. Like this win against Chicago was a 6-point win, and there's a lot more 6-point wins as we play these teams in and around us in a very tight Eastern Conference. If we continue to win, we will definitely push up into those playoff spots. And they were talking about the end of the broadcast, Luis. I can't remember who the commentators were, but they were saying like, "Hey, Orlando City, if they do that, they're going to end up in the top four." I was like, well, top four, like let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I definitely think there's a good chance that if we continue the way we have started here, finally looking good, looking clinical, then we could get up there in the fifth, sixth, seventh place position. We just got to keep fit, and maybe we need to add a few pieces in the summer. And we got to keep the hope and the faith that Oscar's going to keep them producing results. Because like we played well in other games, we weren't getting the results. At the end of the day, we got to get those goals, got to get those wins.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta find. I mean, the expectations right now is definitely making playoffs, which is it looks feasible even based on the schedule that Orlando has at the moment. Now, you're gonna be losing the next 4 or 5 games straight to not to start hitting the panic button. Now, realistically speaking, right now, and no, the club, it's not gonna get rid of Oscar in the middle of the season. That's not how this club, I think, has behaved. And no, they're not gonna poach a European manager like Jose Mourinho to get the squad going. Now, I do see that probably the team is going to get to kind of like what Anthony says, 6 or 7, even top 5. I'd say, you know, top 5, and then a new league starts in playoffs. And I think that if Orlando goes to another semifinal or possible final, that'll be that'll be I think a I mean that's gonna definitely that's gonna I mean, sounds kind of cheeky. I'm gonna say it's gonna piss some people off, right? Definitely, it's insane shit. All this 6 months I've been like, and now we're in the semifinals again. What the hell? I've been saying all this stuff, but realistically speaking, I think you gotta go game by game. We can't get too excited. This team still has some issues. It's obvious. And they got to get it together. And I think, John, what you said is key. There's got to be some additions. And next season, bro, Senor Wilf, open your wallet, bro. A little more, man. We can't become so thin. Don't give me gray value. You know, give me Boar's Head. Give me Boar's Head, man. Give me Boar's Head. Don't give me Publix brand. Give me
Uh,
Boar's Head.
Anthony Solis says Oscar summer transfer shopping list: number 10 left back, center back, the lefty, in brackets, striker in brackets if Duncan leaves, close brackets. I would love all that. We don't have I don't think the capacity to bring all that in. Like
Right.
we're done on
Unless they're under 22
DPs
initiatives.
unless we're feeling really like we're going to shake a lot up in the summer. I don't know where this number 10 is going to fit in the squad with the 3 DPs we've already got. I think we're better off playing this 4-4-2 like we have and keeping Faku out there. And then if Duncan goes, we got to replace Duncan with another striker, but he's going to have to be cheap because we're not going to get, Duncan's cheap for us right now. We'll get money in, but we don't have that ability in the squad to pay. We have a U22 slot, I believe, the way it's going to change. Opened up now for us to use, but that's it. So we'll probably have to go out after a U22 striker, maybe someone out of South America again, maybe
Give me
someone
one
out of
second,
Europe.
John. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good. So we'll have to see where we go for there. Stream Jesus says, no, guys, we're not going to pay for Nanny, so don't even think about it. Yeah, Nanny hit the game again. So I think he just lives here. He has a house here. I think just because he comes to the game, he's the next player. He wants to come see some football, some soccer. And so I don't think that he's going to be coming back anytime soon. Anthony Solis says if we could get up to sixth, seventh place before the Leagues Cup, that would be a great sign. I would love to see that. I think Leagues Cup is like about, I want to say the 20th, so it's about a month away, just under a month away. We have quite a few games between now and then. There is definitely the chance that we could get up in the standings, but we need to go on a pretty decent run. Not something that we can, I feel like it's gonna be up and down still. Yeah, a lot of people, you got to keep our feet on the ground. It was a great win, a good turning point, perhaps. But are we gonna win every single game going forward? Maybe we did it like last year, pretty much. Are we gonna do it now? It's a little bit more difficult to do that, I think, with our current form. If we're looking at the standings and the schedule for us, however, I'll show you guys, and we'll see what's coming up. So we've obviously got just played Chicago. We got New York on the 28th at 7:30, and then away on the 3rd of July. So the following Wednesday against Toronto at 7:30. Then we're back home for the July 4th weekend game of July 6th against DC at 7:30, and then away to New England, and then away at Nashville, then at home against New York, and then that will be our Leagues Cup. So the July 20th is our last game here against New York City at home before. So if we're gonna potentially, let's say, if we manage to get a win away, we got 1, 2, 3,
Yeah,
4, 5, 6, 6 games.
my home.
Hey, Luis, we got 6 games coming up between now and the end. Between now and Leagues Cup. What are you thinking in terms of points? What's going to be a win? New York away.
Number one,
Difficult.
we gotta take it. Number one, we gotta take it game by game, and we can't get overly like throwing everything away, and then overly like super excited. Like we gotta be really like we gotta be like Rafiki from The Lion King.
I think we'll, win some, lose some, draw some.
Right.
Still,
I
it's
think
not going to be.
New York City, due to
Yeah,
their form and that horrible pitch, I'm content with a draw.
I think a draw away at New York. Maybe we
Correct.
could steal away a win at
At
Toronto.
Toronto.
I mean, Chicago went there and got an away win, and we've
Correct.
seen teams go there and get
Yeah.
away wins. DC at
DC,
home has got to be a win.
we gotta beat them at home.
So
The fans need
that's
it.
7 points right there.
There
Then
you
New
go.
England away could be a win. They're not good.
And you literally put the nail in the coffin there.
Yeah, that's a 6-pointer if we can get it.
Correct.
So now you're on 10 points.
Nashville is contending with us right there for that 6, 7 spot. So we gotta
Maybe a draw, maybe a loss away at
correct.
Nashville. Could
Probably
be a
a draw.
loss.
Being realistically a draw.
Okay, so then we're at 11 points, and this is optimistic. All of this, right? We haven't
Right.
predicted a loss yet. We got draws and wins here, and then at home against New York City. If we're saying we got to win our home games, then let's call that a win.
I mean, that would be a massive win because of the meaning of the match. It's against NYCFC.
And you're looking at 14 points there. So that's not bad. If we're on 21 now, that's going to bring us up to 35. Currently, New York Red Bulls are on 34 points in 3rd place. Obviously, everybody else is going to get points, but that's best case scenario, I think, Luis. And that's not even us winning every game. That's us drawing and winning, and maybe a loss in there. If we get somewhere in the 10-point range out of these next 6 games, that's going to put us in the 5th, 6th, 7th playoffs area, I think, quite easily. So,
which realistically, it could happen.
That's where a good place to be. We can do Leagues Cup break, come back. We're in the playoff mix, build from there. It's still a long season. I think that's what we forget. There's still, I don't know exactly how many games, but left to play. I want to say like at least 24, something like that, or 14, something like that. I don't know. a decent amount of games left. I still think there's lots of time.
No, no, I agree with you on there. I mean, I think 12 points would be like, baby, we're back. I mean, yes, we're not like, we're not the supporter shield winners, that's for sure. But shit, a new season literally starts on the playoffs. I mean, it's another tournament. I mean, it's another, you know what I mean? So you can go, I mean, I think you could be the last person qualifying for playoffs, the last team qualifying for playoffs, and win the MLS. I mean, yes, your percentages and the form, yes. But Columbus entered through the side door. I remember one of these years, and then they became champs. Now, do we have a championship caliber team at the moment? No, I don't think we're playing yet at that level. But again, this season for Orlando City has been a roller coaster ride of emotions. Like for the players underperforming, that they outperformed themselves last season. You know what I mean? The expectations, the fan base. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. I think this has been one of the most emotional seasons we've ever had. After the era where we used to lose every game every weekend almost, right? So hopefully I think we're gonna be okay, guys. I still remain highly hopeful and positive that they can turn this around. Definitely not the way we expected, but certainly to get to the playoffs and then start a new tournament right there. Um, let's see here. Do you? I don't know. It's up to you. I have to I have to go and start looking at the other game, but if you want me to, we can do that, or I can do it later.
Uh, yeah. So we got NYCFC coming up. We'll just do a really quick preview on them. They obviously got they're doing a bit better. They're up in sixth. Never like going there, but they lost their last 3 games, I believe,
It's
right, Luis?
Nashville, right?
Yeah, they lost to Crew, LA Galaxy, and Nashville. So maybe there's a crack in there. You asked that question. I know everybody go check out the footage. You asked Torres about Santi Rodriguez. So go check out the press footage to hear their thoughts on the upcoming game against New York City FC.
Maxi Morales is back too,
Yeah,
and he's always been he always beasted against Orlando. He
that's
used to
true.
be what Max Discarud used to be when he played in NYCFC. We went from Max Discarud to Maxi Morales right there at the 10, and they were disruptive. Um, I feel like this team is also at the moment not in the greatest of forms, and we can caught them. We can catch them when they're on the low momentum. So let's see what happens. I have what really in a way bothers me a little bit about NYCFC is their pitch. I think their pitch is an advantage to them, and you should not play in that type of. How long has it been since they've been in the league and they don't have a stadium yet?
I mean, I think it absolutely is an advantage to them. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing. It's a tiny field. They know how to play on it. They use it all the time, obviously. So it's difficult to go there and get results. Historically, we've not done well when we've gone there. So a draw would be great. If we can get a win, even better. So, but we're gonna have to deal with the tiny baseball field and the terrible, just terrible pitch shape that they have there.
Yeah, I mean, aside of that, I think O'Toole is a good part of their team. Sands definitely being important. You know, it's it's a little bad that you have to unfortunately play in pitches like that and then try to perform. Now, hopefully, this is a game in which the Lions if they get a W in this game, I mean, it will definitely set the tone, hopefully, of a little run, and then we can get even overly excited for sure, right? Um, for what's coming next. So, because they're a good team, they've been playing great soccer this
Yeah.
season.
I think we just got to see. I think the lineup pretty much picks itself, right? We're not going to have any other
Yeah,
guys
we
back.
can.
Just
Yeah,
repeat again what we did this game. I think it's more difficult against NYCFC because they will punish us for those silly mistakes. Where like Chicago just I don't think are very good at all. Like so, I think it
yeah,
was an easier game against Chicago, and that's why I'd say okay, well, that's a great result, but they still scored 2 goals on us. One of which is a penalty, one of which I think a little bit lucky for them. But we gotta we're not getting clean sheets still. So if we give up a lot of opportunities, New York City are more likely to punish us. They just got a better attack in general. So
no, I think we're going to see the same lineup. Do you
yeah,
feel?
yeah, I think Sex. I think my only change potentially I would go for is bringing in Kyle Smith to play left back instead of Rafa Santos, and that's just because I think Rafa is if you can get both the left and the right side of the field working, that's great. But we saw when it all went down the left against who is it, Charlotte, and it didn't really work that well. And then in this game, we played everything down the right side against Chicago, and that worked really well. And Faku and Dagger had a great game. So in that case, it's like, okay, well, unless Santos is going to start producing, I feel like he's defensively not at the level that I would like. He just gets they go past him too easily. I think he's a weakness in our team, and people I think other opposition go after that specifically and make life difficult for him. I think it's just better to have Kyle there, just be a bit more solid. Have another guy who's playing fullback who's gonna sit and be a bit more defensive and make us a little bit more difficult to beat if Santos is not going to be providing quality balls into the box.
Yeah, I mean, I think we also need to see a great game by Cesar Araujo to help out also with Santi Rodriguez, help
He
out
might get
Facu.
another yellow, man, for that.
Yeah,
Did you
I
see when
think.
he got hit and rolled around a bunch on the floor?
Yeah,
Like he's been fined for that for simulation before, so he's got to
yeah,
be careful with all these
yeah.
yellows.
Yeah. So, and we need to see another huge game of Dagger Dan. I think the way he carried it was his her was that Dagger Torres connection right there and that flank, both playing at a
Yeah.
high level. That's what we need to see every game.
And
So
if we can get the Hapa Santos Angulo connection on the
yeah,
left side working that way too, then great. I'm all for it. But if not, then let's play Kyle or Angulo did have a much better game, so that's good. And I think Ojeda, man, it's the one that still can't. There's still no place for him. I think him and Faku are just too similar a player, so I think he's still going to be on the bench.
yep, for sure. We're gonna go ahead and read some more comments as I think NYCFC gets a new stadium in 27. It says in 27.
Yeah, they're building that like mega one that's got like that huge entranceway, which like looks like a screen. There's you can check it out online. It looks cool, but you're about 15 years too late. Look, man, I
no,
remember
but it's
literally
true
when Todd
because
Garber came to town and he said, "These are the things." He announced to the world, "These are the things you need to have an MLS state franchise." And he was like, "You need to have a proven fan base, all of these things." And in the
heck,
same year that we joined, NYCFC joined, they had no proven fan base. They had no actual soccer stadium plans. We had all of that. And so I just laugh every time they're like, "Oh, you still don't have a stadium? Oh, okay." The thing that we had to get before we could even get a franchise. But he's done that to other markets too. We're not the only market that. The rule in MLS, as I see it, is like if we want your market, then we'll do whatever. But if we're not that, if you're a smaller market, then you gotta bend over backwards to get into MLS. I think.
Yep, for sure. Yep. So It's gonna be a good game against NYCFC. It's gonna be a good game. It was a good game against Chicago.
And
So
YCFC, man, they're our rivals. I think people forget. Like, I really dislike them.
the pigeons, the pigeons.
Yeah, we've just had so many key matchups, and they've had so many players that like played for them that we dislike, and there's just been a lot of history. And the fact that we joined the league at the same time, everything I just talked about. I'm not a fan. So let's go there and
Whip their ass.
baseball in Yankee Stadium, I guess.
Let's go there and kick some ass and chew bubble gum. There you go. And you got Team USA right now.
Yeah, just kicked off against Bolivia. I'm watching on the other screen here.
Setting the tone, hopefully for a great start. 2 minutes, 3 attacking transitions. Everybody red, white, and blue right there. So in
Played in another
AT&T
football stadium. There you go.
Yeah, But anyways, we'll be back. We'll be back next week, or
Well, we'll have to see. We're busy with Copa America. That's why we did a quick preview of NYCFC.
Score.
We'll see
US
what happens.
scored
Already?
Yeah.
Oh
Let's
my gosh.
go.
Look at that live.
Let's go.
I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win. There we go. Live on the pod. Little reaction to US national team goal. Oh, Pulisic with a banger. I must be behind you.
Right there. Captain
I'm
America,
behind you,
bro. Captain America, man.
There we go. Woo, what a goal. Love to see it. You've got your USA hat on. I've got my USA
America
t-shirt on. I hope you're watching at home, everybody. Vamos USA. If you like what you hear here on Loud and Proud Orlando, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. We usually do this City Pod live on a Monday night, but like we explained, Luis is busy with Copa America. We have a Tuesday night Pride podcast. We're probably gonna record that one this week, so look for that coming out. Also, we have Pride Talks, which is we record after every game on X. I did that last night, so go on X or Twitter and check out the Pride Talks that I did after the 6-0 victory that the Pride had on Friday night. You can also listen to us later on Spotify, Apple Music. Comment, follow, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. It really helps us out in the algorithm, helps us grow. We're up to, what is it now, 1,060 subscribers, Luis. So we're growing. We're getting bigger all the time, and that's thanks to you guys. So you can also you can follow us on X and Instagram at LPO_podcast and on Facebook as Loud and Proud Orlando. Luis, man, we got that home win.
I know.
That's what we've been craving. The fans been calling out for. Oscar, I think I want to say, if we have not gone and checked out the press conference that we put up on the YouTube channel, go check that out because it's really good. I think it gives a great insight from Facu and from Oscar. A great quote here. He said, "We are conscious about our responsibility with this team that had high expectations. The fans paid a ticket to come and push, and they have the right to express what they feel. We just want to turn things around if we can." So Oscar knows. He knows everyone's dying for a win. The team knows.
Yeah, the
Mason
team knows.
said it there at the end.
Yeah,
we got that win. Let's just hope that we keep getting them.
That's right. Yeah. So, without saying anything else, go Team USA and vamos Orlando, guys.
Vamos Orlando. Vamos USA.
Have a good one.